When I was watching that Ruby Franke documentary, I had known about 8 Passengers from years ago because I used to watch these videos that came up on my recommended. And it kind of made me realize that Mormons, the Church of Latter-day Saints, is like the branch of Christianity that is very like, we are young, millennial burger joint, 2 guys had a dream. Hi, have you heard of our concept? Yeah, we do this thing called shareables. It's when one man has multiple wives. It dances on the perimeter of mega churches while half of the body is still like in the hot tub of what it is to be extremely traditional. And the whole like multiple wives things, that's within the FLDS, which is a whole nother thing. For those who are unaware, 8 Passengers was a family vlogging channel. It was a mom and she had 8 kids, or maybe it was 6. And it was her and her husband. And they were just a very strict Mormon, go to church every Sunday kind of family. Seeped into loving God to the point where she really believed that 2 of her youngest children were possessed by the demon. And it really got me thinking, because ironically, this is not the first story of Mormons going crazy to the point where they're starting to abuse kids and abuse themselves and abuse others for traditional values. It's not crazy to say that Mormons tend to be the branch of Christianity that have the most controversies. And they're all kind of looped into the same reason that they're not holy enough to be accepted by their Lord and Savior. Isn't there a kind of a problem brewing within that community? It can't be coincidental that the Mormons are always caught doing some crazy shit. They're always going crazy, doing something unnecessary to prove that they belong in a jail cell and not within the 4 walls of the temple. And like, yes, you can say this about any religion, right? But the thing is that Christianity already has like a positive hold on America. That people overlook what's happening within the Church of Latter-day Saints consistently. That doesn't happen within Catholic communities, Lutheran communities. You know, it's just, there's a very interesting pattern that tends to be shoved out of the way because Christians are good. You don't need to prove that Christians are, like, it's America's religion, Christmas, like, bitch. I don't care. The FLDS is the cult within the already controversial branch that is the Mormon Church, and that is this guy named Warren Jeffs, who manipulated a bunch of men, who then manipulated a bunch of women, that the only way that you can get into heaven as a woman is to share your husband with like 20 other women. Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey on Netflix. I highly recommend anybody to just put that on the background while they're doing some work, because that documentary is a mouthful. And I'm sure all the ladies can tell you how much of a mouthful it was to be linked to Warren Jeffs. And he's like not even like a cute, nerdy, like loser kind of guy. He's he doesn't brush his teeth or brush the back of his tongue kind of guy. I don't know if they follow the Book of Mormon and the FLDS, or if they just kind of like made their own pamphlet, because they were starting to ban books from their community. It's an isolated community. They and the Pilgrims, sorry, not the Pilgrims. What is this community called? What's coming to mind is Hutterites. But there's a different word. The ones who churn their own butter. Well, they're kind of like pilgrims if you think about it, so I'm not what are they? Now, Hutterites are a communal girl. The Amish! Okay, alright. It's like if you took Amish people who just mind their own business, but then you introduced the concept of higher powers where only one type of person benefits from it, and everyone's just like, yeah, sure, why not? It feels dirty to even compare Amish people to the LDS, the FLDS. But when you look at how they live and what they wear and the required hairstyles that women, they have like a whole introduction video. Okay, you know it's a cult when they have to explain in video slideshows, or it's a video from the 80s about their rules and regulations, because nothing gets updated to the modern day. Hence traditional values and something else is brewing, and you should get out. What's that one series? Escaping polygamy. Oh, brother. I don't know what community polygamy is very popular with. Maybe it's the Amish. Maybe it's the Mennonites. Mennonite. Shouldn't be saying English words that I don't know how to pronounce properly, because, you know, I talk like I know all these things, and then I can't even say the words correctly. It just looks ridiculous. Escaping Polygamy is an American docudrama series. Okay. Salt Lake City. Bitch! Salt... After leaving their Salt Lake City-based polygamist group, what religion functions at the Salt Lake City in Utah? Girl, oh my god. Me being surprised that escaping polygamy takes place in Salt Lake City, Utah? What are you fucking kidding me? LMN, you are a gem. Anyway, my point is that when I was watching that when I was watching that Ruby Franke documentary, two things came in mind that might seem controversial. Number one, there's a point where all of a sudden in the documentary, you know, the people that are being interviewed are her ex-husband and her two older children. The younger children have been censored for privacy reasons, their faces, their names. And then all of a sudden they were interviewing the neighbors, the area that they're living in, because they're YouTubers and they're a family-friendly channel at the time when they were at their peak. A lot of the people that were living in the same neighborhood as them are fucking stupid. They're extremely dense. They're out of touch. They have so much money that they consider things that working class people do to be rude. And I justify any points when it has anything against Ruby Franke, right? Like, horrible woman. Hope that she is doing horribly in jail and that she's not getting any lesbian head or attention. The neighbors are talking about like what they personally experienced with Ruby and what signs they noticed as red flags as to, oh, she's not like us, and there's something else going on in that house. And the point being was that Ruby didn't host brunches for the women in the neighborhood or invited them over to her house. I'm telling you right now, I have never, like, this is very rich girl problems. Oh my god, she didn't invite us for mimosas on Thursday. I knew there was something. I knew she was abusing her children because she didn't invite us for mimosa. No one does this. No one, not the average person does not do this. In my neighborhood at home, okay, and it's not a fancy neighborhood, it's just like regular people living their lives. It's never neighborhood talk about, oh, Melissa down the street, who is originally from Chandler, didn't invite us to come see her new lawn installments. What a fucking bitch. She's probably like abusing her children or something. I knew she was a lesbian. She didn't want us to come over and see her kids. I can spot a queer from a mile away. Like, what an unnecessary evaluation. They could have been like, yeah, she just like screamed a lot. Or you could tell by how she was interacting with her children that something was off. But no, it was the fact that they didn't get invited for Sunday brunch. White woman tears. White woman tears. So I thought that was very unnecessary in the documentary. I don't know why they put that in. The second thing that I also found, like, very, what's the point, is that for context, Ruby Franke joined this group called Connections, and it is uplifting women, and, like, this woman, I'm gonna call her butch lesbian because she is a butch lesbian, and I don't know her name. She, I guess, like, is a therapist, and, like, is manipulative, and basically is like, you know, men only lust, and we as women need to stand up and, like, be better and, like, not dismiss ourselves. And she would also invite the husbands of these women who attended these groups to, like, go up to the front and admit that, like, yeah, we only lust, we are animals, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hold on. A group of women coming together, rallying against the male species? This is just my regular group chat. You can find this conversation on my phone. Oh, men only befriend women who they find attractive? Clock that T, butch lesbian. Clock it. You have a point with that one. You're crazy. But you kind of ate that one up. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't see anything wrong with the connections group. So what? Getting your husband to get up there and admitting that, like, yeah, I'm an animal and, like, women need to be, like, our saviors and I need to bow down to my wife. I'm like, yeah, what? The husband of Ruby Franke, he was invited to this connections group and went up there and said that, like, yes, I need to be a better person as a man. And he said, point blank, it just felt very anti-men. Yeah, man. Yeah. Like, if anything, that is what the Mormon Church is missing. Bring the connections values to the LDS Church. Rewrite it to make a little bit more sense, and you got yourself a new summer course. One of the things that always pissed me off, okay, and, you know, I have this motive. The morals of every basic human being. Treat others how you'd want to be treated. Well, I'm not a part of the Mormon Church, so if I was a Mormon and you were telling me all the things that I was saying, I'd agree. Anyway, I grew up in Arizona, and I did go to a dance school in Gilbert, and there's just, like, a lot of Mormons there. Every single girl in my dance studio was Mormon. I was, like, the only person of color, which was already scary in itself. It was just a little bit frightening, but at that time, I had the pick-me mentality, which I think really held me back from being converted to the religion. I really had that mentality that I wasn't like everyone else. If I didn't have that mentality, anyway, so that means, like, a lot of people, like, when they get to a certain point in their life, they tend to do mission trips as Mormons, and they go away for 2 years to spread the word of the Book of Mormon. And they basically go to different areas, knock on your door, and be like, I know you have the Bible, but this here is the better version. What I kind of, like, started realizing, though, when a lot of my peers started going on their mission trips, was that mission trips aren't like an international trip all the time. Some people literally travel to, like, 2 states over, and they're acting as if, like, they're serving their country. Like, I just found out one of my peers' relatives got called to do a mission trip in Illinois. I would be pissed if my, like, God-intended mission was to be in buttfuck Illinois while another peer of mine is going to Oahu for their mission trip. Oh, I'd be pissed. I always thought it was, like, going to a foreign country, pushing onto Christian values of an already very religiously colonized country, and just, like, being like, I know that you're Catholic, but also, like, this one's better. It's like, we all... Like, man, it's the same guy. Like, everyone's got a different version of, like, how Santa comes down the chimney, but it's all wrapped up in a bow. The same guy in a story in Bethlehem, right? I don't think that thing is true where Mormons believe that Jesus was born in Utah. I don't think that one's true. But they do love Utah for some reason. And I don't really specifically know the exact contract of, like, do they go cold turkey when they go on these mission trips by not contacting relatives and stuff. I think you can still, like, I think it's just, you can call and text your family. But when it comes to, like, friends or people outside of that, it's email only. Because I had someone in my life who went to Hawaii for their mission trip. And they just asked, like, a bunch of us, hey, like, I'm going on my mission trip. If anyone's interested, I would love to send emails to whoever would like to get one weekly of what I've been doing in Hawaii. And I'm like, girl, what the hell? Sure. So she would send emails to me and a bunch of other people about her weekly adventures in Hawaii. And I just know my ass was jealous. I was like, oh my God. It's kind of like studying abroad. Like, I will work for this company if I can stay here for free. And then I was like, ooh, okay. If you're someone who wants to travel and you don't have money, I kind of understand why you want to be a Mormon. Last but not least, wrapping things up, one thing I do hate, very much to my core, is there was a time that my parents and I somehow ended up at the temple's Easter service when I was 10. I don't know. Because we're not Mormon. My dad is Lutheran and my mom is Catholic. We don't know what we are. You know, we're an amalgamation of things. We're going purely because it's like we're not doing anything for Easter. And it's like, you know what? Once again, girl, what the hell? Sure. So we go. We're sitting there and someone comes up to us talking. And they're like, oh, are you part of the church? And we're like, no. And he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And he looks at my mom and he goes, like, can I ask where you guys are from? Like, blah, 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 blah. And my mom's like, I'm Catholic. Lots of Filipinos are Catholic. And this white ass man, this pale motherfucker goes, oh, I did my mission trip in the Philippines. I did my mission trip in the Philippines. I did my mission trip. And my mom goes, The thing that pisses me off with people finding out that I'm Filipino, and then they're like, oh, my brother's best friend's girlfriend's dog's owner did a mission trip in the Philippines, as a way to relate. You know, maybe when you think about the sentence in your head, it sounds nice, but when you say it out loud, it's a bunch of bullshit. Going to a country that already is very deprived of its cultural roots because of the years of colonization, and then just to go there and push Christianity more onto that country is a bunch of bullshit. You should thank God that he's just gonna like let it slide for you, because you won't be going to hell for that, but that will be on the consideration list. So if you went to the Philippines for your mission trip and you find out that I'm Filipino and you tell me, I am so sad that you were able to make it back to this country safely. I wish someone in Manila would have robbed you, dude. I respect Mormons and stuff, but I think there is a pattern when it comes to the weird stuff that continuously happens in that community that everyone brushes away because America loves Christianity. That if it were any other religion, people would dog on it more. If brown people had a religion, and they do, and some crazy stuff kept happening within a very specific branch, the US would shut it down. They'd shut it down, but because you guys are white, you can just let it slide. Well, I guess I don't know. Anyway, I'll see you next week. Keep sweet, pray, and obey, my friends.